Our discussion today and throughout the day is about 4 things. Number one, what is a Christian marriage? And what's the difference between a Christian marriage and a traditional marriage? That's one of the things that we will be trying to handle today. And I'm praying with God's help, that will come out clear. Number two, we are praying to God that out of this meeting, we are going to have a strategic plan for continuous improvement of our relationship in marriage. In ISO 9000, if you are in that kind of area, in ISO 9000 certification, they talk about continuous improvement. And we want our marriages to be on a trajectory of continuous improvement. And I'm hoping that this will participate in that process. And then thirdly, and very, very importantly, I'm hoping in the process to talk about the purpose of marriage in bringing up the next generation. So we won't spend too much time on it, but we are talking about in this seminar how to be parents who are godly, because they are parenting in a godly way. And that we are hoping that will also be covered in the process. But finally, we are hoping that in the process, we understand our marriage as a mission, rather than, I like to put it's not a destination. Marriage is a mission, not a destination. So that one of the responsibilities of the husband is to ensure his girlfriend goes to heaven. So that you need to be aware that if you have a problem, so that you married a Christian girl, now she's going to hell, you might also join her there. So it will be very, very important that we understand one of the big responsibilities is how a spouse must be the pastor of the spouse. You know, you must be the pastor of the spouse and take responsibility to help the husband to get closer to God. Those are the things that we are dealing with today. I'm praying that the Lord will help us. During the break time, they are called breakaway, not break time. During the breakaway, we want to discuss the quality of your marriage. And because those things are very confidential, we will break in groups of 2. Only you and your wife. We do not want somebody over here. Because we are not on a joke. It's a serious issue. Remember, I've given you the objective, isn't it? So we are hoping out of here, by the end of the day, there will be a clear improvement plan for your marriage. So you are going to spend time evaluating your marriage, and then asking yourself, how can this marriage be better? What can I do to make my marriage better? So I want to start by explaining that, so that when we have the breakaway, it will be easy for us to deal with it. Let me start by quoting the scriptures talking about marriage, because I think it will be important that we get it literally. You know, one of the things that we like doing is saying, maybe I would like to be like Abraham. But you know, Abraham, there are certain aspects of Abraham that are not very good in terms of his marriage life. You know that. Or you won't be like David, but David was an adulterer. But so there are certain things you don't actually want to copy in them. So I understand what the Matthew 19 is saying in verse 8. Jesus replied, Moses permitted you to divorce your wife because your hearts were hard. But it was not like that from the beginning. In other words, the Bible is full of stories, but you will be lost when you start copying them. The intention of placing them there was to tell you not to go there. But you know, you hear people telling you, they tell us not to be polygamous, but Abraham had several wives. Now, can't you hear? It was not like that from the beginning. Because a lot of people like to pick those Old Testament. Oh, the Old Testament is just like rule culture. Now, I agree it is. But you are not in Judaism. You are in Christianity. Now, Judaism is very similar to rule culture. But I'm not a Jew. I'm a Christian. And it was not like that from the beginning. And that's why we want to spend a bit of time talking about, if it was not like from the beginning, then how should it be? Genesis 2 verse 18-25, which is our text for today. The Lord God said, "It is not good for the man to be alone. I'll make a helper suitable for him." Now, the Lord God had formed out of the ground all the wild animals and all the birds in the sky. He brought them to the man to see what he would name them. And whatever the man called each living creature, that was his name. So the man gave names to all the livestock, the birds of the sky, and all the wild animals. But the key one, but for Adam, no suitable helper was found. In other words, right at the beginning, we have to understand God's intention is to relate with a spouse, not with a dog. Adam used to love Wazungus about how close they are to their dogs. You understand? In fact, Wazungus have come with a statement, man's great friend. And they don't mean another man, they mean a dog. Here we are told from the beginning, the dog, after it was formed and was very friendly, said, no. Adam still had no partner. Are we together? So we want to establish clearly that if you are looking for other things to occupy you, rather than investing in your spouse, you are being unbiblical. Because God had already intervened. He knew you were there. There was work in the garden. Adam was working. So if you allow work to take over your relationship with your spouse, you are being unbiblical. So you see, after he had made everything for Adam, no helper or suitable person was actually found. And I thought we need to establish that. Because we are getting caught up. I've just, we were waiting for my wife to get ready. I looked at the paper today, and I saw somebody communicating how they are having troubles because they are so busy in their workplace. They told that somebody wrote to somebody today, please tell my husband, I'm too busy to be available. So the pastor was answering that when they came for advice, he said, so you are doing this? I'm working for an NGO, I'm just about to complete my PhD. Surely this guy should know. He is not the only subject I have. I have other very important subjects. So it's in the paper today. But here we are learning, Adam had work, but was not suitable partner. So you need to ask yourself, are you getting so caught up in your career that you are not available for your spouse? There are things called priorities. And if you do not have your spouse as a priority, and your working or your career has become your priority, then you are trying to correct God. Because God said, He looked everywhere, His creation, but nobody was going to be suitable for Adam. So I thought right in the introduction, we make that very clear. That the picture before Eve is created is everything is available except a suitable companion. So, are you trying to replace your spouse and looking for things to replace them? By the way, children came later, but they never became part of the needed companion. Children were a responsibility, not a companion. Only Eve was Adam's companion. And I think that will be something that we have to make clear. So I normally say, let's be clear about the priorities. Your priority number one is God. You must ensure in a week, in a day, ask yourself, have I given God my priority? If you are too busy to have your quiet time, then you are too busy to be alive. You're asking God to take you. So you need to understand God is a priority. And the way to show him he's a priority, the language of love is time. You must allocate time to God. But having done that, the second priority is your spouse. Before you talk about work and everything else, you must put at the top your spouse. And by the way, I'm not talking about your mother. I'm talking about your spouse. Are we together? And it will be very important to understand that your mother is important. The scriptures say you must honor her. But in terms of time allocation, it must be clear your spouse has more time. And you cannot, if you must decide who to see, it is not a competition between your wife and your mother. Your wife should win hands down. You understand that language? That's basically the thing. Because he said he created everything back. Only this was suitable. So the priority number 2 is your spouse. Priority number 3 are your children. And there are distant that. Why? Because children are not part of your marriage. They only visit for a while. You understand that picture? Yeah, for younger people like you, but they are still part. But they are visiting. Yeah, if you come to our house, you can't do whether we have children. But we had them. Then they left. Now, of course, once in a while, the grandchildren come to visit. But they are called by the right title, visitors. They are not part of it. If you are not visitors, how come they keep leaving us? Now, you need to understand that your children, in African culture, they are even more important than your wife. Am I right? But in Christianity, your children cannot come to the same level with your spouse. However, children are also important. Why? Because if God chooses to give you children, he has given you a stewardship responsibility. And one day he will ask you how you look after them. So children are important, but not at the same level with your spouse. You know, when you're newly married, you have no children. It's just as cacao. Then after a few years, the children leave. It's still that cacao. And I keep calculating for people that if you marry at the age of 25, and then you die at the age of 75, no, it's 85. I'm in my 70s, so the 12 is 2 years. Now, okay, let's put 85. So, that means you have been married for how many years? 25 to 85 is 60 years. Do you know only 20 of those years will you have needed children? When they start counting more than double digits, they disappear, isn't it? To university and then they disappear for good. So the only, out of 60 years of marriage, you've been with children for how many? 20. So you better learn how to do that cacao. Because children are simply visitors. And if you cannot love your spouse, please accept my sympathy in advance. Because children cannot replace your spouse. Of course, I've heard of the new scheme these days, where because your wife doesn't tolerate you, she says, so and so, my daughter so and so in Canada is getting a child, so you go, you come back, but the one in Australia is also getting another child, you leave. The Kagai people, I'm talking about my age mates, they are being left alone because wives are visiting children. That's called running away from your husband. Let's call it by the right name. Am I communicating? Yes. So it's important to understand you as a woman must have your husband as a priority and your children as a second priority, but not a first priority. So when you leave your husband and you are moving from one home to the other, running away from your husband, one day you give an answer to God. where you drop your responsibility. Your children, once they are adults, are not your responsibility, but they are still your friends. Are we together? So you must, but your wife remains your responsibility until death do us part. So it's very important to understand that priority system. Priority God, priority number 2, spouse, priority number 3, children. Then priority number 4 is earning your daily bread. Your professional life must come down there. Earning your daily bread, your professional life. And then you can go on and on down the line. So I thought this creation story helps us to draw lessons that help us on that count. And I think it will be very, very important that we understand that.